The Utah Utes and Baylor Bears face off in a Big 12 clash that has big Big 12 title game implications, actually. And can Baylor get their season around? We're finding out. And we're talking about on today's Locked On Utes and Locked On Baylor crossover.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes and Locked On Baylor your first listen and view of the day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you for continuing to tune into our shows. Huge shout out to our everydayers. I'm JT Wistrcill, Cam Stuart, joining me, the host of Locked On Baylor. On today's show, we're going to talk about who's going to win this game. We're going to talk about the key matchups that define it, as well as a recent trend that's actually could be really good for the Big 12. But first, we start with the biggest storylines going into this game. For a Utah, Cam, I really believe it is not just winning, but continuing to look like a top 12 team. If you're Utah and you're playing a Baylor team that's been incredibly inconsistent on the year, if Utah doesn't win this game by 10 plus points and Miami looks really good, Vandy looks really good, that's all the reason the committee needs to have one of those teams leapfrog a Utah team. So I think if you're Utah, the biggest storyline going this is you need to continue to be a dominant force. What do you think the biggest storyline for this one heading into it for the Baylor Bears?
Well, I mean, not as much to play for as Utah has. Let's just say that. And honestly, I mean, there's so much extracurricular stuff that's surrounding Baylor right now, with the allegations against Mack Rhoades and him heading the CFP committee and the whole lingering hot seat of Dave Aranda, right? Like, one more ugly performance and it could be done, his tenure here at Baylor. But honestly, in terms of like more on the field kind of stuff, is the last time they came out of a bye week, JT, it was brutal. They looked awful against TCU. And that's the big rivalry game. I know it was on the road, but you had a bye week to prepare for it. TCU did not have a bye week leading into it, unlike this matchup where we're both coming off of byes. And TCU actually got slaughtered up at Kansas State while Baylor was sitting back and watching film. And Baylor came out horribly against TCU, just horribly. They give it 21 points in the second quarter. They're down 21-7 at halftime. The game's basically over. And that was the talk around the fan base of like, how do you not get a team ready after 2 weeks? And that's going to be a question once again against a better opponent than TCU of like, hey, can we just look like we've done something over these 2 weeks? Can we actually make them work a little bit? So Utah's looking for a blowout. Baylor's just looking for a close game. And then obviously close game, anything can happen, but let's show some fight, some buy-in here.
It's interesting you didn't mention Dave Aranda in that at all. Is he? I mean, it feels like his seat is incredibly hot. Like, where are we at with that?
Yeah,
if you get blown out by Utah and lose by 20 points, I think that's possible. I don't know how likely it is, but I feel like we could definitely happen here. What happens to Aranda? Nothing. Just still wait to the end of the season.
I think it waits till the end of the season, and I gotta think he's going to be fired. But yeah, I would wait till I would say they'll wait till the end of the season. I don't know if I would wait till the end of the season, but I think Baylor will. And there's just been enough excuses for Dave that like this will kind of be the next one. Like, let's say it is 31-13, and you're like, well, that's a team that's going to the college football playoff. What do you expect from us? You know, like there's going to be something all the time when it comes to the excuses that we'll hear from the Dave Aranda defenders, which certainly seem to be the same opinions as the Baylor brass. So yeah, I would say end of the season still is the way they're going to handle it here. And it's still kind of anyone's guess, JT. Like he should have been fired 2 years ago after 3-9. There was clear writing on the wall. There was clear red flags. And he wasn't gone after that. And so you're thinking, man, if they have a winning record, are they going to fire him after that? If they didn't fire him at 3-9, like, do you think if Baylor somehow pulls an upset that Kyle Whittingham is out the door, they're going to can him? They're not going to let him get on the plane? You think that's in play?
Not quite. I will say, like, if Utah lost this game to Baylor, and then depending on how they ended the season, obviously Kyle Whittingham's fine. But wouldn't
Yeah.
there be? I feel like there'd be people at Utah who's like, okay, maybe it is time to turn the page to Morgan Scalley. So you're not. Kyle Whittingham's going to leave when Kyle Whittingham wants to, but this would be a really bad loss for Utah because I
Yeah.
feel like we know Utah's a really good team, right? They just embarrassed Cincinnati in their place. They have losses to BYU and Tech, but even the Tech game was closer than the final score indicated. BYU was very close. He actually outgained them by 100 yards, but still find a way to lose. This Baylor team is weird. You blow out UCF. You got blown out by Cincinnati. I mean, what do you make of this team? Where does this team rank in the Big 12? Like, how good are the Baylor Bears? I have no idea, Cam.
It's still crazy to think that I don't have a full grasp on it either. And I'm watching and following and covering this team every single day for the last year basically of this season starting in January. And I still don't know if they're like good. I think they're not bad. I don't think they're a terrible team, but when they face a team that's at their level or above, they lose. SMU is the exception. That was week 2 of the season, man. Like the other couple of wins, UCF, dreadful, downright awful, probably not, but not a very good team. And Baylor's better than them. Kansas State, same thing. They've had good spurts this year, but overall, they're not that good a football team. And Baylor beat them. Oklahoma State, definitely not a good football team. Baylor beat them. Like those are your 5 wins right there, mixing a Samford in the FCS, which they didn't look all that great in. And everything else that's been a toss-up has been a loss. TCU is a loss. Arizona State, a loss. What was the other one there? Cincinnati, a loss that they didn't look good in at all. So, yeah, we still don't really know how good this Baylor team is. And when you're 9 games into the season, that means you're not great. You're not very good if you don't know if you're good or not. But obviously this Utah team is very good. It's one of the best teams they faced all season in a season full of playing some pretty good teams, I would say. And I hear you talk about the CFP thing. I hear you talk about the style points, so to speak, and needing to win big. Like, does that not wear on you at this point, JT? Like, isn't this what the college football playoff is not supposed to be about? When we expand to 12, isn't it supposed to take less of the style points or more of the style points off the board? Here's a team that's what did we say last week? They're plus 140 or something since the Tech game. I think it's plus 140. Like, is that not style points enough, man? You play in a Power 4 conference. You've rolled through the rest of it. Like, we're talking about style points here in the year of our Lord 2025. And you're right to talk about it because you are right. Like, that is what they're looking at. Greg McElroy's already trying to take him out of the college.
I know.
Like, already trying to just take him out of the picture entirely. Like, that's where I'm like, this is where it was supposed to end. This was supposed to prevent this.
Yeah, it's annoying in some ways, but at the same time, like Utah is being compared to other 2 loss teams. So that's where we do have to start looking at other things beyond the record. Now that's where we can get into, hey, this Utah, Tech, Indiana, only 3 teams in the country in the top 8 of scoring offense and defense. But I can also say this, like, I do believe the SEC is better than the Big 12. And yes, Miami is not very good. Not very good. That's harsh. Miami is not one of the 12 best teams right now, but that win against Notre Dame is still better than any Utah has to this point too. So there's lots of other things, criteria that we look at and look towards. So I understand why Utah needs to continue to impress because they don't have a test left on their schedule. Like if Utah had a game against another top 15 team, I think they could afford to lose a game or 2 in a closer not lose, excuse me, can't become a 3-loss team, but win some of these games in closer fashion. But because you're playing some of these lesser teams, at least what they've done so far, if you're Utah, you need to win big right now too. I mean, how do you feel like about the perception of the Big 12 and Utah is being perceived right now? And how do you just feel like the Big 12 and the whole state of the CFP is at this moment?
I don't love it. Like, I don't love it. This is, I don't delve into politics, but I imagine this is how people feel about politics, right? Like, I'm not loving the state of our college football playoff right now. Because I want to play out a scenario with you here. Like, if Utah wins out, and I'm talking wins out, like, and gets to the Big 12 championship and wins it, and they're an 11-2 team, And, let's say they beat Tech in the Big 12 championship. Like Tech is in, by the way. Like Tech is already in. Yeah. And they should be. But like if that is the case, then you're talking about comparing them to Utah to Notre Dame again as a 2-loss team. And Utah sitting there as conference champion gets in. You know what I mean? Like who is holding Notre Dame in such high regard? It's the same people. Like the same people are telling us that Notre Dame is so much better than these teams from the Big 12. And I had this thought this morning. Actually. And I know we're pushing it for time, so I'm going to keep it brief. But when I look at the 3 teams that could possibly get into the CFP from the Big 12, obviously Tech, BYU, and Utah, all 3 of those teams are elite defensive teams. You just mentioned it. Tech and Utah, the only 2. What was it in the top 10?
Tech, Utah, Indiana are the only 3 teams in the country in the top 8 is scoring offense and defense.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, man. Mm-hmm. And I wonder that the way those teams are winning, is that what is going to ultimately change the perception of the Big 12? Because before Utah got in here, it used to just be run and gun, air raid, nobody plays defense. That doesn't stack up against real teams. And the SEC, and obviously the Big 10, was where they played defense. That's where men played football, right? That's try scoring on these guys. And then the SEC evolved, right? They've had as elite quarterback play as anybody in the last decade, right? They have caught up offensively. So this is more like a Big 12 versus Big 10 thing. If you got 3 teams that play defense like that and are sniffing around the college football playoff, is that going to enhance the reputation of the Big 12 in the long run here? Are experts and analysts going to take them more seriously because it doesn't look like a basketball game out there? I kind of think it does. I don't know if it like really puts you in the respect conversation, because it's always going to be the Big 10 and the SEC. But I think that has to help a little bit. Like you can't look at this Texas Tech team and say, who are they playing? Big 12, yada, yada. Like they are top 10 in both. And so is Utah, and top 8 in scoring, defense, and offense. Like you can't ignore that.
You can't, and I'm glad the committee hasn't so far, too. We got to talk about this. I love the points you raised. We got to talk about those in a moment, too. We got to continue to talk about this Utah-Baylor matchup. What are the keys? We're telling you in one moment. But first, this episode of Locked On Utes and Locked On Baylor, a crossover edition, is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And look, we got the NBA back. We got college basketball. We also have the NFL, but of course, we're a college football show. So this game, Utah, Baylor, Utes favored right now, 7.5, Cam. We'll talk about predictions more in a moment. I like the Utah Utes in this one to cover. How do you feel about it?
Can't get an easy win in Waco. I like Baylor plus 7.5.
Okay. Well, you can't get, unless you're Cincinnati or no, you know what? Did Cincinnati beat you on the road? So
that was on the road. Come on. Give us some credit. Unless you are Auburn. That's worse.
Yeah, then the Auburn one. Yeah, oh, good old Auburn. But however you guys are feeling it, this matchup or any of them, right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Cam Stuart back with me here. When you talk about key matchups in this game, I really think, Cam, it's going to come down to, can Baylor slow down Utah's rushing attack? This Utah rushing attack is number 1 amongst P4 teams in rushing yards per game, and number 3 in the country. Only 2 service schools are ahead of them. And Baylor is the second worst team in the Big 12 at stopping the run. Utah uses 6 offensive linemen more than anyone. Devin Dampier is a dynamic quarterback. Running back Wayshawn Parker's looking as good as he has before. You got 2 NFL future offensive linemen that Utah do, probably first-round picks. Is Baylor ready for what Utah brings in from a rushing standpoint? Like, how are the Bears going to try and slow down what is the Big 12's most prolific rushing attack?
To answer your question, I doubt it. I doubt that they're ready for it. But I will say this. And here's me. This is end of the week, Cam, talking himself into this. Like,
go for it.
UCF was right in there in the top 5 in rushing offense in the Big 12. Not quite as good as Utah, but pretty good. And Baylor held them to 74 yards. I don't know where it came from. It came out of absolutely nowhere. I think it was probably because UCF doesn't have dynamic enough quarterback play that Baylor was playing 2 high safeties the whole time, like they did against Jackson Arnold, which also isn't a good excuse. And now you kind of have some momentum there. Maybe you've figured something out, and you're coming off a bye week. Like, I know Utah is as well, but maybe I can talk myself into Baylor succeeding against Utah's run game. And succeeding against them is not 75 yards. Succeeding against a Utah team is like 110 yards is, I think, success for Baylor, and kind of make them be more balanced, I think would play into Baylor's hands. But that is a tall order for the 15th best rushing defense in the conference. So yeah, it definitely does come down to that. I am curious though, not like Baylor's got this terrific pass defense either. Like, does it favor Utah's opponents when the Utes got to be more balanced, when Devin Dampier does have to throw more?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you look at this Utah team, when they can get you in like 3rd and 4, they're amazing. They're going to get a first down almost every time. When it's 3rd and long and it's like, oh, you ran for a couple first downs, but now you got to consistently deliver on long pass plays, they're not able to do that. So the way to beat this Utah team is to make them have to throw the ball. But they can't. They still have some guys on the outside. Like Orion Davis has stepped up a little bit too. That's honestly about it. But the tight ends have looked a little better too. A Dallin Bentley. So Utah's passing attack has gotten a little better as the season wore on. They can make plays. Like this is, I said they're among service schools. They can throw it a lot better than a service school can for the rushing stats. But Devin Dampier, this Utah offense, they are most comfortable when they can run the ball. So that'll be the key for Baylor is, can they slow down what is a vaunted Utah rushing attack? Because like you said, Baylor has some guys, should be able to stick with what some of the things Utah tries to do on the outside, some of their guys, but Jason Beck's done a good job, Utah's offensive coordinator, of scheming guys open. So we'll see if he's able to do that coming up this week. Flipping it over to the other side of the ball, I think for Utah's defense, they want to get pressure on Sawyer Robertson and not let one of the nation's best quarterbacks, who, I mean, like, is he a top 5? Probably not, but he's still really good, I feel like, right? So you can't let him just sit back there and be comfortable. And honestly, I do feel like Utah has the players to make him uncomfortable, especially with how well the defensive backs have held up in man coverage. Utah plays a lot of man coverage, Cam. Do you think your offensive line can keep Sawyer Robertson upright long enough to where he can make the plays and the throws to beat a really good Utah secondary?
Yes. Yes.
So much confidence from you this segment.
He says apprehensively. But it's because, and this is cheating, because I think Sawyer has been so good since the middle part of last year of how quickly he reads a defense. Like, he does get the ball out quick. Baylor has not been great in pass protection since he took over as the starter. They've been okay. And yeah, the numbers are what the numbers are. He is a crazy thing here. He's a much better quarterback when he has time to throw. Like, he goes from a real NFL prospect to, and also ran as a college football quarterback when he's getting a ton of pressure in his face. I'm interested by the man coverage thing, because obviously, as you know, there's not a lot of teams in the Big 12 that run exclusively man like Utah does, like almost exclusively man defense. And it's just not something that we've seen a lot of. We just haven't seen Sawyer Robertson go against it a lot. We did see some of it against Auburn, in which he had a good game. That was all the way back in week 1 of the season. So it's been a long time. Hopefully they were able to simulate it enough in practice. But I think that's where it's more intriguing from a Baylor offensive standpoint, because Sawyer is good enough at avoiding pressure most of the time. But that man coverage, can they still spread the ball out the way they want to? Is there going to be an answer for a tight end like Michael Trigg? There's just really hasn't been from any team this season. He's kind of a unicorn out there. But I think we talked about this last week. I think this would suffice to say this might be the best quarterback that Utah's faced this year. And I would say almost definitely the best collection of weapons. Now, Tech, you got 2 pretty good quarterbacks at you. And Tech's got some dudes as well. I understand. But in terms of the quarterback and the weapons, I think Sawyer might be the best one that's been on Utah's schedule. Am I wrong there?
I think you're
At least
absolutely
close.
right. Like, look, I'm not trying to go at BYU fans, but all of a sudden I see some people trying to say like Bears one of the best QBs in this conference. Like, no, like team success and quarterback success are not tied together. BYU's best thing is their defense. Bear is a good quarterback. He's proved a lot of us wrong, but he is not Sawyer Robertson. He's not even Sorsby, in my opinion. So yeah,
No.
Utah's just over these last few
Yeah,
weeks.
Sorsby would probably be the next one, wouldn't it?
Probably be right.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah. I
Avery
mean,
Johnson,
Brennan, and Morton are good. Yeah, Avery Johnson, but like,
yeah, he's had a rough year. Jalen Daniels had a
yeah,
rough year.
yeah. But
I like
those two
Dampier.
guys, for
I think
sure.
he's up there too, but he needs to show some more things, honestly, too.
Yeah, I would say Sorsby's probably the next best one, if I might say. But Baylor hasn't played Tech this year. I've watched plenty of Tech. I think they're such a good team overall, but I think Sorsby and Robertson would be the two best that Utah's faced.
No, they would be. And yeah, this is a really talented. That's why I'm curious to see if Utah deviates from how much man they play. Because when you play as much man coverage as Utah does, you will allow an NFL caliber quarterback to beat you with the perfect throw, and the receivers, you can get just enough separation. Baylor has the guys capable of doing that. But the question is, can they hold up against a John Henry Daly, who's one of the nation's best pass rushers, a Utah defense that sends wild blitzes your way that you have to be able to pick up? That's what remains to be seen. That's the key for Baylor. Can you keep Sawyer upright enough, give him the pocket, the clean time, and he's going to make plays and make things happen. And I do think Utah has the bodies to slow down this Baylor vaunted offense because his passing offense is something special. But Baylor is absolutely capable of hanging with the Utah Utes because of the quarterback they have in this game. But who's going to win this game? And who is going to be from the Big 12 looking even stronger by the time the next playoff rankings come out? Because we got to circle back to that conversation. We're going to tell you in one moment. Today's show is brought to you by our great friends at Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts passed for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tool and 3D schematic can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. You can join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service with Supply House. All right, we're going to predict this game in one moment, but I wanted to circle back to the conversation we were having earlier about the college football playoff and everything. Do you feel like Utah should be ranked above Texas, Oklahoma, even a Notre Dame, Cam?
Yes. I think they should be ranked above Texas. I think Oklahoma should be ranked above Texas.
Wait, what did you say? Oklahoma should be what?
Ranked above Texas.
But Texas.
I know. I just think Oklahoma's better. That's why I said it whisperingly, JT. I know.
Well, I feel that way about Utah, BYU. So I get that. And
that's why this is an imperfect science, because here I am going back and forth as well. And part of this is because I've seen Utah play more. But here's where I get really bugged out by the committee is, you know what they love more than almost anything is a good loss. Like the committee just loves a good loss. Utah has 2 losses. They're both excellent. Okay. They're great losses. Texas has a loss to Florida on the schedule. Like, that's an awful loss. If we're going to weight the good losses, then we need to put some good weight on the bad losses. Florida beating UT, I don't care what conference patch they have on there, is much worse than any loss that Utah has. And of course, it is worse than any of the losses that BYU has, all one of them. Okay. It's like, so that's where I'm like, you can't play this game both sides. And I hate that. Like, oh, well, they lost to Florida close. Okay. They beat Mississippi State close. They beat Kentucky really close. Like, those aren't good teams, man. Like, and that's where I get bugged. And yeah, I think Oklahoma's a better team. But to your point, there's a head-to-head there. It's tough to argue. Texas is going to get their 3rd loss this weekend. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, I think Utah should. What would that put them at? If I'm bumping Texas back, and I would.
Well, is BYU? Where's BYU then too? Are they
Yeah,
ahead
what
of
are they at right
Utah?
now? They are ahead of Utah. They beat them.
I would agree.
I
would agree. I think they're better, but I would put BYU ahead.
Yeah,
because
so
we have to
I
now.
would probably have them at 10 and 11.
Mhm.
And OU at 12. I'd have UT like 18th. I just
Yeah.
not. But I might put them ahead of Tennessee still. I don't really get the Tennessee infatuation. But yeah, like if we're gonna nitpick on quality losses, UT has a loss that is not quality.
No.
Utah and BYU do not have non-quality losses. So if we're gonna parse it down to that, then that's what I'm going with.
And then, but where it gets complicated, I will say, I don't love defending Texas, but I will just give them this. They have more quality wins than both of those teams, right? Like, I think Utah has a good win against Cincinnati, but even Utah's win against Arizona State, like Sam Levitt, as much as I don't love Greg McElroy bringing it up, he's right. Sam Levitt didn't play in that game. But I do agree. We should, if we bring up, I love to bring up that one of the reasons I think Utah is better than BYU is I do look at that Colorado. There's a number of statistics I can point to as well. But did not look that impressive against a Colorado team that I watched the Utah team hammer. Home versus road, I get it. But we should be able to say the same thing as you mentioned too about, like, if we're going back to a Texas, like they didn't look that impressive against Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State is better, but I also think Mississippi State's being overrated because you also have to win games, and like they have struggled to still do that in the SEC. So that's part of this conversation too. It's just, it is interesting. It's an imperfect science. You said it best, Cam, but it is frustrating with some of the things, how the criteria is determined. Like I've defended Notre Dame a little bit. I like this Notre Dame team. But if they lose a game, especially to Pitt this weekend, they should plummet because all they have done is hammer terrible teams. They have played awful teams, except for USC. That's a good win, but they have hammered the bad teams. So I want to see how they're going to close the year out too, because everyone seems so sure that like they're a top 5 team in the country, and I'm not there yet.
And that's like Notre Dame is actually the one I get the most bugged out about, even more than UT.
Really?
Because like we're just being told that they're a good team the whole time. Yeah. Like I think they're a fine team, right? Like Miami on the road, that's not a bad loss. A&M, even at home, like that has proven to not be a bad loss at all. A&M has continued to back that up. At that point, you're 0-2. But since then, it's a blowout over Purdue, a blowout over Arkansas, a blowout over Boise State, a blowout over NC State. Like those are not good teams at all. No. At all. You beat USC. That's a nice win, right? That's takes Notre Dame to one nice win on the year.
NC State's okay, like because they've beaten some other teams. I don't think they're terrible, but they're not good. Like they're not Purdue or even Arkansas.
But like they're not one of the top tier teams in the worst Power 4 conference. And and speaking of that, they won by 15, which is fine. Notre Dame did, against the worst team probably in Power 4 in Boston College. They crushed Navy, who have a decent record and have not played anybody of any note except for North Texas and Notre Dame, and they lost both those games. So, you're right about the Pitt thing. Like, if they lose to Pitt, you're not in the picture. I'm sorry. Like, because first off, we're talking about a 3-loss team on an independent schedule. Like,
yes,
you don't want to do the conference thing? Okay, fine. Then you're not allowed to lose 3 games.
You don't get to be Clemson.
Honestly, you don't get to be allowed to lose 2. I bet on that train forever. Like, join a damn conference. But that's Notre Dame is just like, it's like this fallacy right now. Like they're good because we're being told that they're good.
They do look. I will say they look pretty good though, right? I mean, they are hammering
against Purdue, against BC.
I know. I'm just saying.
Against Navy, JT. You know who else is hammering teams? Utah, and they're in a conference.
They are.
Like that's like that should count for something. That should count for something. You never know year to year what the strength of schedule is really going to be for Notre Dame. You don't know like month to month. Like we can put some. This is a whole different rabbit hole, so I'll keep it very quick. Like we can put some sort of, modicum of, hey, this is a challenging game because it's a conference game, right? And in theory, you should have a good team in your conference, home or away. That's a tough matchup. There's conference there. There's familiarity. There's a standard. With Notre Dame, there is not that. Again, their last 2 games were against Navy and Boston College. Those teams suck. They suck. And I know Navy's like 7-2, but they don't play anybody, So, it's Notre Dame. Last year, Notre Dame was a good team. Like I was in on Notre Dame. I didn't think they'd get to the title game. That was threw me for a loop, but I was like, that's a team that should be there. And I'll take an early season loss. This I just don't know how good this Notre Dame team is. Like I just don't know.
I think it's totally fair. I think they're a good team, but I agree that the way, like even the ESPN, the ranking show, they just kind of force it down on us, like how good this team is. And it doesn't feel earned yet because, like I said, because of the schedule they play. So I'm going to be curious to see how they look against Pitt, just like I'm really curious to see how Utah looks against Baylor. It's time to predict this thing. Look, I think Utah is the better team clearly in this game, unfortunately. And I like Baylor. I think, yeah, you're funny.
What?
And I like some things about Baylor, but I think the run defense is just a massive problem. I think Sawyer in this offense makes some plays, but Utah is clicking at the right time. And honestly, when I look at Baylor, like the team itself, I feel better about them. But then when I start to think about all the things going on outside of the on the field product, it genuinely makes me concerned about this game. I just feel like there's a lot of distractions down there right now, Cam. And I'm actually going to take the Utah Utes to win this one. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go 38-17. The Utah Utes win. I think some of the ickiness in Waco shows up on the field too. And we're like, what team? That's how I feel about it. How about you?
He's predicting a Fetty Wap, a little 1738. I think this game is going to surprise you. Okay. I think this game is going to surprise you. Okay, you talk about a distraction, and I get it. Ignore the noise, right? But when Baylor's had their backs very much up against the wall, when it's like, hey, if they lose this game, Dave Aranda is going to get fired. And now you add in the fact that, like, ooh, is the AD going to last the year? That's when they play their best ball, okay? And I think this offense is going to show something again. It's going to awake again. Awaken, I think is actually the word. Again, and they are going to put on a bit of a show. And I think they'll lose, but I think they'll only lose by 3. Here it is, 28-25 final score. Baylor is, or excuse me, did I say 29-25? It's going to be a weird score. It's going to be a weird score. And I say that 4 points rather than 3 points because Baylor's going to have gone for 2 at some point, and down the stretch, they're going to need to go for it on 4th down. Because they can't, the field goal does them no good, and they're going to turn it over. And that's how it's going to end. 29-25.
I like it. Utah scored 140 more points than their opponents in their last 5 games, if we even include the BYU game. So holding this Utah team under 30.
Is that what I had? Is that what I had? That's since the Tech game?
Yes. Yeah, that's since Tech game. You had said that last week.
I didn't have it in front of me this time. So I was like correcting myself. Awesome. I got that right. Plus 140, man.
You did
that
have
should be enough style points. And here I am. I sound like I'm like carrying the flag for Utah. I just think they should be in there over UT and possibly Notre Dame. I really do. I do.
Well, we appreciate it. And that's why you are the great Cam Stuart. Make sure you guys give him a follow as well at Real Cam Stuart, or you can give me a follow at JT Wistrcill if you are on the Baylor side of things. But however you feel about this game, make sure you keep an eye on our shows this week. We got more content coming your way. Locked on Utes, Locked on Baylor. Cam, always a blast. Appreciate making the time.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm just hyping up Utah, so it looks better when Baylor pulls the upset that I didn't predict.
Well played. Well played.
Wrong before.
That's going to do it for this Locked On crossover edition between Utes and Baylor. We'll be back with you tomorrow, breaking down the Utes versus the Bears this Saturday.